Welcome, deep divers. Today we're diving into securing sensitive data in Kubernetes, specifically Azure Key Vault. Our mission really is to cut through some of the noise and help you get up to speed on protecting things like passwords, API keys, the critical stuff, because storing these insecurely, maybe in plain text or just as environment variables, that's a huge risk, a really massive one.
Absolutely. It's fundamental. Preventing breaches, stopping unauthorized access, that's not just a nice to have. And Azure Key Vault, well, it offers that critical solution. It helps protect that sensitive info right from the start, all the way through its life in Kubernetes. It's about encryption, sure, but also very much about control.
Okay, control sounds key, but let's get specific. I mean, we all know don't put passwords in plain text, right?
Yeah.
But what are the maybe less obvious headaches? The risks that AKV helps eliminate, especially if you're newer to Kubernetes security.
That's a great question. Because without something like AKV, the pitfalls are pretty significant, especially starting out. First off, you got insecure storage. Like you said, plain text files, environment variables,
Yeah.
even Kubernetes config maps, if they're not encrypted, just easy targets waiting to happen. Then there's the whole access management complexity, figuring out who gets access or what pod needs which secret. Without a central system, it just spirals into this, well, permissions nightmare. It gets messy fast.
A nightmare. Yeah, I can see that.
Right. And then think about manual key and certificate management. Encryption keys, TLSSL, SSL certificates for HTTPS, trying to handle rotations, renewals, tracking all that manually across potentially many apps. It's not just time-consuming, it's incredibly error-prone.
Yeah.
You mentioned juggling chainsaws earlier.
Yes. It's easy
Good.
like that.
And finally, you're looking at compliance risks and just scalability problems. Managing secrets consistently across lots of apps or clusters becomes a real blocker without a dedicated tool.
Okay, the chainsaw juggling analogy is sticking with me. So AKV gives us a safer place to put those chainsaws, automates the juggling, and keeps them out of sight. How does it actually do that? How does Azure Key Vault secure the data and then, deliver it safely right where it's needed inside Kubernetes?
Yeah, the elegance of AKV is really how it centralizes and encrypts everything. It decouples secret management from your application code, which is huge. So for storing secret passwords, API keys, they live inside the Key Vault, encrypted at rest, secure. The magic glue here is the Azure Key Vault provider for the Secret Store CSI driver. Bit of a mouthful, but
CSI driver, got it.
right. This driver connects Kubernetes to Key Vault. It lets you mount secrets directly into your pods, either as like volumes or environment variables. So your web app needs a database password. It gets injected securely into the pod. It's never in your code, never in your Kubernetes manifest in plain text.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So the app just sees it as a local file or environment variable, but it came securely from the vault.
Exactly. And it's a similar idea for managing keys
Yeah.
and certificates. Encryption keys, keyless certificates. They're stored and managed in Key Vault. It often handles things like auto-renewal for certificates too, which is a lifesaver. Again, the CSI driver makes these available. So maybe your Kubernetes ingress controller needs a TLS cert for HTTPS. It pulls it from Key Vault. Key Vault handles the renewal. No more expired certs causing outages, hopefully.
That auto renewal sounds incredibly useful.
It really is. And then for integration and security, a key piece is Azure Managed Identities. This lets your Kubernetes components talk to Key Vault without needing their own secrets or credentials stored somewhere, credential-free.
Nice.
Then you use Azure RBAC role-based access control or specific Key Vault access policies. This is crucial for least privilege. You ensure a pod only gets the specific secrets it absolutely needs, nothing more.
Right, locking it down.
Precisely. And you tie it all together with monitoring, diagnostic logging in Key Vault itself, plus Kubernetes audit logs so you can track who accessed what when. It creates a really robust auditable system.
That sounds comprehensive. Powerful. Definitely elegant. So let's bring it back to the listener. What does this all mean for you? When should you really be thinking, okay, I need Azure Key Vault? And maybe, are there any gotchas? Any situations where AKV might add its own complexity, or maybe another approach is better?
Good point. You should definitely be looking at AKV anytime your applications need sensitive data. API keys, credentials, certs. If it's sensitive, especially in production, AKV is a strong contender. Also, if you're just trying to simplify managing this stuff across lots of apps or clusters, it brings that central control. As for gotchas, well, this is another piece of infrastructure, right? It adds a dependency. You need to get your network connectivity right, your managed identity permissions correct. And it's possible to mess up the RBAC and grant too much access if you're not careful setting up those least privilege policies initially.
So proper setup is key.
Absolutely. But honestly, the benefits. Centralized, secure, automated management, they almost always outweigh those initial setup steps, especially compared to the risks of not using something like it.
Right. So basically, AKV tackles those big risks: insecure storage, access chaos, compliance headaches, and simplifies security, assuming you configure it thoughtfully.
Exactly. It provides that secure foundation.
Okay, great. So for someone listening, what's a good next step? A way to maybe dip their toes in?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say start simple. Try using that Azure Key Vault CSI driver just to inject one basic secret like a dummy API key into a simple web app you deploy to Kubernetes. Just get that working first, see how it feels. Then, once you're comfortable with that basic flow, you can explore configuring Azure RBAC for finer grained control, turn on the diagnostic logging, maybe even look at setting up a simple key rotation policy. That hands-on experience, that's what really builds confidence. You'll quickly see how powerful it is for managing sensitive data the right way.